Alright, what's up guys? You can call me Rizzo and this is the Angry Paw. Today we're going to take it way back. We're digging deeper in the crates. We're going to take it back to a classic Nintendo title called City Ransom. This is something that I've had, or I had in my collection. I actually progressed from the Super Mario Brothers series to this, and if you've ever played this before when you were younger, especially me being like, I think it was like a 6 or a 7-year-old playing this, it was very frustrating, and it incited a lot of rage quitting per se. So let's jump into it. We're gonna do single player, obviously, because it's just me today. We're gonna go with, okay, let's go with a normal message speed. Skill level, it only gives you 2, either novice or advanced. There's no in between. And you'll, I guess, I mean, if you ever play this, you'll come to the terms that even novice gets really annoying sometimes, and yeah, it becomes easily like what the middle ground would be. I held your city captive and Ryan's girlfriend hostage. With my gangs of students and evil bosses, nobody can stop me now. Meet my demands or else. P.S. Alex and Ryan, if you interfere, you'll be in a fight of your lives. Okay, so whose girlfriend? Ryan's girlfriend. Okay. Alright, Slick. Let's see what you're made of. And this is in the days of just 2 attack buttons. Oh, I'm Alex. So now I gotta save my friend's girlfriend. And as far as early game goes, it's pretty much just like, it's such a beat 'em up game, like and then you're just, oh god, I ran into the wall. And what you're gonna essentially do is you're gonna end up just farming these goons. You're gonna end up being the bad guy. You're gonna beat up bad guys for their money, essentially. And the bad guys also have different levels. You have different groups or well, gangs per se, and for the most part, and for the most part, they're distinguishable through the colors of their shirts, much like modern gangs per se. Come on. And the reason you want to kind of farm them for money is you could eventually buy buffs. See these guys, they're in the pink shirts. I don't remember what they were, but I'm also gonna use a little bit of this, I would say exploit, glitch, whatever it is. But once you kind of get off of the plane that they're in, they get confused and they, oh my god, yeah, see, these guys are a lot tougher, they're a lot faster, and they only get faster, oh, and tougher. But yeah, the reason you farm is to get money. The money then allows you to purchase items, which essentially will level you up in certain skills, and you know, it's your buffs. Guy. As it stands, these are my stats. I mean, you're based off of 50. I don't even remember what the max for each stat is, but you start off at 15 rating for everything: kick, punch, weapon, throwing, agility, defense, strength, and willpower. Now your health bar at the top, it's actually not health bar, it's stamina bar, and obviously the lower you go, the slower you could be, or it's easier for them to knock you down. And then your max power is essentially what, I believe what the stamina would be if you maxed it out. Okay, so let's get going. So far we're in two different areas, and then you have little safe zones like these, like the malls, where you could go into stores. This particular store is the Rise and Shine Cafe. Well, I already have $29.45, so I only made $9.45 from beating up those guys. Okay, And each item, depending where you go to, this is the cafe. They'll have obviously different prices. They'll they will either increase a stat or replenish your stamina. So you kind of want to pick and choose, because sometimes you'll just get stamina and you won't get a stat, and you probably paid like $50 for a roll or expensive sushi or something. In this case, what we're going to do first is we're going to go to the bookstore and get the first of our buffs, which is Dragon Feet. And this is really the reason why we farm all those bad guys. Yes, I would like it. I already bought it up, actually. We got Dragon Feet, and then we're gonna go into our belongings. Obviously, we have Dragon Feet, and this is how, I guess, early coders or early game options were set up. Even if you're playing one player, you still have both columns for the two player, just to simplify everything. You had limited space back then. I mean, you couldn't even save. We're gonna read the book, Dragon Feet, and then we're gonna exit. And I mean, those are the days, like you couldn't save. You either had to leave your console on for days or weeks on end, and we're gonna demonstrate what this dragon kick is, which is pretty much that. It's a triple kick combination. But yeah, those are the days where you had to leave your consoles on for days or weeks just to make sure or keep your place. God forbid you had a power outage and it turned off, you'd have to start over again. And I've done this quite a lot with this particular game, only because for one, I also didn't have the guide for this, and I just got to a point where I couldn't progress any further, and I just couldn't figure out why, until, of course, like, it's one of those games that's always stuck in my head. Through the years, I guess I'm just very into nostalgia. And it's one of those games where it's like I told myself I'd always go back to and complete. Wow. Oh. Okay, there you go. Yeah, and it turns out, I guess it's you know, it's got its own cult following. I didn't even know there were other releases post this one, and that's because it's like I was in that transitional phase where I was young enough to be into gaming, but then I guess I would be in that between timeline where at some point I fell out of gaming because girls. And I found out about girls at a very young age. Oh, did my shirt just change? So yeah, I essentially, okay, the jocks are the green shirts. So I'd say probably I as far as console order goes, I went into Nintendo. I skipped Super Nintendo altogether and went into Sega Genesis. I had a PlayStation 1, or the PS1, and then PS2 and PS3, and then, you know, PC Master Race. But I'd say, where did I stalled out in games? Probably somewhere in between, like, Sega and PlayStation. That's when I kind of went elsewhere in my attention, and then, you know, PlayStation 1. I started to get back into it around that time. I had mine chipped, actually, just so I could play, you know, those games that I'm not supposed to buy. But that's what got me into a lot of other genres of games, just because it was a lot easier accessible. I mean, at a young age, I mean, sometimes your allowance isn't really just gonna, oh god, your allowance isn't gonna swing it up for games. But you know, I'd say I experimented instead of drugs. I experimented with games, different genres here and there. And then obviously other interests peaked. That's when I got into like a whole. I was always into technology, but I guess that's when I really got into it. I mean, I definitely paid attention to the early megahertz race of computer chips and whatnot. I was like the first to get to like half a gig or 500 megahertz. Oh, the first to like 600, 650, all that. And then they got into the 1 gigahertz processor. Oh my god, that's so old. And that's when, you know, it's I'd say stylistically we really didn't have a type yet. 'Cause I remember like reading like, oh my god, thank you for at least hitting me up here. Reading like PC Mag, and then like seeing all like the custom builds straight out of the UK, which were just like all these brightly colored acrylic cases with all these flashing lights. And I mean, this is like late 90s too, so at some point like dual processors were like the only way to get to 1 gigahertz, and then obviously overclocking. And it's not like you had a ton of parts manufacturers then either. It's, you know, it's the early days of technology. With every sort of new thing, it's, you know, it doesn't look pretty at first. So, oh jeez, I mean, look at like the first ever. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Oh, I mean, look at like the first ever, say, home computer. I mean, that wasn't much of a looker, and then look at what we have now. You know what I mean? Oh god. So yeah, those were the days as far. Oh god. Oh no, I just that is fucking terrible. Because guess what? I think I just lost half of my money. I think every time you die you lose half of your money. So yeah, that was my fault too. That 1525. Oh, so I had enough to get it, which sucks. Absolutely sucks. I don't want to progress to the next one only because it might be a little bit more difficult. Oh. Bop. Bop. Just throw this. Oh, get this at the fuck out. Oh, there you go. Twofer. And going back into the different gangs, and you know, obviously there's a whole, oh god, they come in levels or whatnot, and obviously the more difficult they are, or you know, oh god, you could also get more money out of them. So like these guys, these would be the lowest tier guys, so I'm probably not gonna get much money from them. That's why I kind of have to go back and, oh god, I'd have to continually farm them a lot more than if it was like the jocks or anyone else above them. Ba ba da ba. Oh, he's got a steel pipe. Oh. Okay. And as of speaking of like you know, older games, and especially in the PS1 era, and the topic of Twisted Metal came up the other day, and oh, and I guess there was I totally forgot, like they released a Twisted Metal game for PS3, I believe it is, but pink shirts. It got me to actually go through like eBay to look for the the old PS1 long case game, just because that was like definitely one of my favorite games on that console. You had other classics like I want to say, oh, Tomb Raider was a strong title, but that's definitely one that stuck out. Twisted Metal 2, 3. I remember borrowing those games and not ever bringing it back. Yeah, I stole it from friends. But I mean, just for I guess nostalgia's sake, I wanted to get the long case, CD for it. Oh no, I don't. I already bought it. So now we got Stone Hands. This will be our next buff. And we're gonna use it. And so the next thing to do now is to actually get your stats up. And remember what I said earlier, you get a lot of these, punch, kick, you know, all these stats go up based on, I guess, what you consume, eat, and whatnot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna farm some more, just to be able to go eat around here. Sushi bar is a cafe and a bakery, I believe. So